Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we will talk about IELTS reading test and we will try to attempt a complete reading test. So it is going to be a lengthy class. So please everybody must pay attention to this. We will look into different question types and we will see that how different question types need different techniques, different strategies to to attempt them to solve those question types. So first of all, if we look into this passage, into this reading test, it is actually the reading test from Cambridge book 11 and it is academic reading test 1. As we can see, we have three parts of this reading test. The part 1 contains 13 questions, part 2 contains 13 questions, and part 3 contains 40 questions. 14 questions. There are total of 40 questions, and we have to attempt all these questions in 60 minutes. As we move from part 1 to part 2 and then part 3, the difficulty level that increase the difficulty level increases, the ways, the types of information that we are looking for there, increase, that the difficulty level of such information also increases. So most of the time we find sometime like true false in the part one, and we can while the same question type true false in part one, we can attempt those questions and those questions answers are all true, but correct ones, but the same type of question like false in part three, but most of them are wrong. But because of that, difficulty level of the language itself has increases. So we will start from part one and we will see that our question type is actually completing the sentences below. So remember that each time, not every fill in the blank is actually, you don't have to solve each fill in the blank like fill in the blank, filling the gaps. Sometimes you have to complete the sentences, sometimes you have to complete the notes, sometimes you have to complete the summary, sometimes you have to complete fill in the blanks, gaps filling. There are the gaps filling. So in completing sentences, these are also you can say these are uh, gap filling, but there is a little bit different between them. So the passage start from we have a question and there is a topic. Remember that in filling the blanks in gaps, there will be not a topic, there will not a title on in the questions. Filling the gaps will start just from your start of the passage. But here you can see there is a topic, there is a title of these question types. So you have to look for indoor forming. You cannot just don't look for on the start of this passage. That will not. You are just wasting your time. So in this test, the examiner has told us that we have to complete the sentences of these. We have to complete the informations. We have to complete these sentences, and these sentences are taken from indoor forming. So we will locate a passage, a paragraph, a specific part of this passage, crop growing scrappers, skyscrapers, in which they are talking about indoor farming. So if we just move to the part two, we can see that here is written here, indoor farming. So most of the time, 99% of question will be starting question number one with the heading. If there is a title given in the question type, remember this. Please note down in your notebooks. So some we will look for some food plants, including means something more, something is added along with food plants, something is growing indoors. So we will look for that what things are growing indoors, and one thing is mentioned, that is food plants. Along with food plants, what other things are growing indoors? Including means sometimes including mean examples, sometimes including means these. There are two to three things that are given. So we will look. Indoor farming is not new since hothouse production. So hothouse production grown indoors of tomatoes and other produce. So we know that the meaning of produce, यहाँ पे here the produce is vegetables. There the produce is not used as a verb. You use produce. This is a specific term when you use produce as a vegetables. Like I have a farm. I have some place where I used to grow some vegetables and I used to grow some fruits. So each morning I harvest some fruits and some vegetables from that field. So I will say that in my today's produce, I have three types of vegetables, two types of fruits. So that in that case, this produce word is now used as a noun and it is referring to the vegetables that are being produced. Hope that you have understand this difference, that where the produce is used as a noun and where the produce is used as a verb. So produce here, food plants. I have told you that meaning of produce is fruits and vegetables. So food plants are fruits and vegetables, and along with that, other thing that is mentioned is tomatoes. So our answer will be tomatoes. Remember that you don't have to make any spelling mistakes, especially in reading test. If you make, that is just a blunder, because you have to write some words that are just, you have to pick the word and paste it here, type it here. So vertical forms would be located. So there is something, as I've told yesterday in the class, the physical class, that first of all you need to understand the questions completely. First, after some practice, after some time, if you are reading 6 pages daily of some novel, of some book, of a magazine, of a newspaper, you will develop your mind. Your mind will develop a stamina that will help you to store some information in a short-term memory, and your mind will develop a stamina so that you can read quickly, you can go through quickly through a passage, and you can understand overall what it is trying to say. So for that you have to read 6 pages daily, at least 6 pages of a book, of a magazine daily. So vertical forms would be located in dash, meaning that there would be less need to take them long distance to customers. So we will look for a part where the vertical forms are mentioned, where their location is mentioned, वो कहाँ पे locate होंगे, and where they are talking about taking them to customers. They don't have to cover a long distance. So if we look just below, what is the new agenda concept? So the concept of multi-story buildings in which food crops are grown in environmentally controlled conditions situated in. So the situated in, located in. Here, situated in the heart of urban centers. In the heart. So our answer is the heart of urban center. We will look that we cannot use more than two words. So if we use these complete heart of urban centers, these are four words. So we can use just only urban centers. Vertical forms would be located in urban centers drastically reduce the amount of long distance to customers required to bring food to consumers. So just try to understand the way the question, the statement in the question and in the paragraph is paraphrased, and just pick up, try to pick up the word that is just close to the fill in the blank, your blank, located in, we know situated in, not multi-story buildings. Multi-story buildings you can is the concept of multi-story buildings in which food crops are grown. So food crops जो है वो grow की जा रही हैं multi-story buildings में. लाइबा आप बहुत लेट आई हैं. आई थिंक आप कब से ट्राई कर रही हैं, या आपको पता है मैं जब इस वक्त क्लास में हूँ तो मैं आई डोंट यूजली सी कि कौन ज्वाइन कर रहा है कौन नहीं ज्वाइन कर रहा, तो काइंडली विद इन 5 मिनट्स जो है वो ज्वाइन कर लिएगा. सो यू कैन सी दैट we there is a specific word located in and situated in. Similarly, if we move to the next part, next question, vertical forms could use methane from plants and animals to produce something. So anything that any word before that, if there is a just think that it is a verb. Any word if it is used after the fact. So here the fact will be noun. Any word used after used after to produce, so the produce will be a verb. Just try to make need these notes. इनके नोट्स बना लिया करें छोटी छोटी बातों की, ये आपको बहुत हेल्प करती हैं स्पेशली लिसनिंग और रीडिंग, जब आप फिलिंग द ब्लैंक जो है उनको सॉल्व कर रहे होते हैं. So vertical forms could use methane and from plants and animals to produce something. Let's see अब इसकी बात जो है वो कहाँ पे हुई है. Again आपने देखना है when you are doing some sentences, when you are completing notes, when you are completing summary, the questions are not always present in a sequence. Only in case of filling the gap, filling the gaps, filling the blanks, question type, where here is written fill in the blanks, then the questions will be present in sequence. But if you are completing notes, if you are completing sentences, if you are completing summary, you might get the questions in not in a sequence form. So we will use something that is methane. You can say that methane is a gas name. So it would be just present in the same way. There will be no other word that would be used in the place of methane. So we'll just quickly read through the sentence to look for the methane. Okay, ecosystems, you can see that we have just for looking for methane. Okay, monsoons get rid via here there is the word methane. So vertical form will use this thing to produce something. Let's see what they are producing. Methane generation, and it would also dramatically reduce fossil fuel by cutting out the need for tractors and ploughing and shipping. So you can see which is being used to produce, what is being used to produce system. They will consume energy. First the systems, what are the system, the vertical forms, they will consume energy, then they will return energy. एनर्जी को वो टर्न करेंगे वापस, किसके जरिए, मीथेन जनरेशन के जरिए. एंड मीथेन जनरेशन कहाँ से होगी, वो नॉन एडिबल पार्ट्स ऑफ द प्लांट्स, ऐसे पार्ट्स ऑफ प्लांट्स उनको वो कंपोस्टिंग उनको गलने सड़ने देंगे, वहां से गैस प्रोड्यूस होगी. उस गैस से they will return energy that they are consuming. So actually they are producing energy. A quite difficult paraphrasing here. Just try to understand what is being used They are using methane via methane. I'm doing this via internet. I'm using internet. So via methane, actually, they are returning energy to the grid via methane. So it is just a very difficult type of, you can say, paraphrasing. And such questions, one to two questions, are always present in each type of questions. And only, as I have told you yesterday, only the type of questions which are so moving on to the next question. Let's see what is our next question. The consumption of dash. The consumption of dash would be cut through agriculture vehicles. So something related to agriculture vehicles. So something should pop up in your mind related to agriculture vehicles. Might be tractors. Just written in there in the next sentence, tractors. So what they are consuming. It would also dramatically reduce fossil fuel use. Consumption is actually your use. Consumption of the use of fossil fuel. Again, two-word answer is fossil fuel. Just double check if you have I have written the correct spelling. Would be cut. Would be cut mean would be reduced. कम हो जाएंगे, cut down हो जाएंगे. Because agriculture vehicles would be unnecessary. Cutting out the need is actually unnecessary of agriculture vehicles for tractors, plows, हल चलाते हैं and shipping. So you can see paraphrasing just by looking into, just by understanding the paraphrasing that is used in your reading test. You can develop this skill to paraphrase the questions, you can develop your vocabulary, you can develop your grammatical range and range of lexical resource by understanding and by memorizing these vocabulary resources that are present in your reading test. You can see unnecessary might be. I have seen a lot of uh, a writing task to IELTS essay statement where there is unnecessary word is mentioned. So you can use this by the use of cutting out the name. You should make a table daily whenever you are attempting a test, either you are attempting a listening test, either you are attempting a reading test. Just make a table and divide it into two columns. In one column, write the keywords from the question, and second column, write the keywords from the paragraph or passage. So keyword from the question is question is cut. Keyword from the passage is reduce. Keyword from the question is consumption. Keyword from the passage is use. So you can develop these and try to really go through just one time or two times those keywords, and at the end of when you are going to attempt your test, actual test, after 2 months period or 3 month period, you will have a lot of vocabulary in your mind. You can use that vocabulary in your writing. You can use that vocabulary in your speaking test. And again, in the listening and reading, it will be easier for you to get to the answers quickly. Understand that these words have same meaning. Okay, the fact that vertical forms would need dash light is disadvantage. So, fact and the we were looking for something that is there is disadvantage, there is light. Okay, the first one is you can see over the drawback. Here's the word drawback. It is a potential synonym. It is a perfect synonym for a disadvantage. So whenever in your writing task to essay, there is an advantages and disadvantages. You can use the word drawback to replace the word disadvantage. Okay, you can use some other word like negative, pros and cons. Cons to replace the word disadvantages. Once you have used disadvantage, second time you will use drawbacks, third time you will use negative effects, fourth time you can use cons. So this is the range of vocabulary that examiner will see. Okay, the what light? No, the light here is we know that light is a noun, and before noun, if there is no comma, if there is no and, there is no full stop, there would be a an adjective, and that adjective will describe the characteristic of that noun. So if you will see just light is mentioned before that, there is artificial light, would need, would require. You can see that how the words are paraphrased just by use of synonym. Would need, would require artificial light is a disadvantage. A major drawback of vertical farming is, however, is that the plants would require artificial light, a major defect. Okay. Next one is one form of vertical farming involves planting in dash which are not fixed. Okay, one form of vertical farming involves something that is not fixed. So we will be looking for something that is not fixed in the passage. Okay. Nearest expose sunlight quickly, overhead artificial lighting with natural overhead light generating dash something. Okay. Appears future aspiration is to grow plants in the stacked trays that moves on tray. That is that are moving, that are not fixed. One variation, one form. On vertical farming has been developed involves planting in dash to grow plants in stacked trays which are not fixed. So which are what are moving? Moving what are moving on rails? What are not fixed? Stacked trays. Again, look which are. There is a plural. So you will go for the plural. Artificial, artificial. So you don't have to write artificial light. If you write artificial light, it would be wrong. Light is already mentioned, so you will just use one word. Okay, the most probable development is that food will be grown. Whenever you see a tense, future tense, just go for the last passage. The most probable development is that food will be grown on dash in towns and cities. In towns and cities, we will be looking for some information that will be describing the growth, the cultivation of food in towns and cities. So let's look. Okay, a greenhouse, a single story greenhouse, natural light, and a food for population. Food will be grown. While it is possible, it is probable, मुमकिन है. Much of our food will be grown in skyscrapers in future. Most experts currently believe, most experts, the most probable. So there are two possibilities given. One is growing food on skyscrapers, and one is related to experts. They were the adjective, the qualifying language has been used, the extreme language has been used, and adjective has been used. The most probable is it far more likely that we will simply use the space available will be grown in on urban. So urban is towns and cities, shahri ilake, urban areas. So urban rooftops on rooftops in towns and cities in urban areas. So here is a question type that will be that was used that were asking for us to complete the sentences and we have completed it. Next one is true, false, and not given. We will again look for how they are using. No, you see that your first one you started indoor farming from uh, this part. Okay, the examiner has taken you to this part. In the next question type, you will always start from the first part. Okay, methods for predicting Earth's population have recently changed. So what we are looking for, we will looking for have methods for our methods for predicting the Earth's population have recently changed. क्या वो recently change हुए हैं या काफी देर पहले चेंज हुए हैं या अभी चेंज ही नहीं हुए या हो सकता है इसके बारे में कोई बात ही ना की गई हो. So we will look for our keywords, Earth's population. Okay, let's see. Here is the Earth's population. We live in urban centers. Applying the most conservative estimates to current demographic trends, the human population will increase by about 3 billion by then. An estimated this thing. So there is no talking about, there is no information regarding methods of predicting. Methods के तरीकाकार जो है अर्थ पॉपुलेशन को प्रिडिक्ट करने के बारे में there is no information regarding this given. So we will put this as a not given. Just try to think that you should divide, you can divide the true false not given, yes, no, not given in three parts. Even if one part is missing, then your answer will be not given. Well, the next one is human beings are responsible for some of the destruction to food producing land. So they are holding responsible. Human beings are being responsible for some of destruction to food producing land. So हम देखेंगे कि अगर तो बात हुई है ह्यूमन बीइंग्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है और ह्यूमन बीइंग्स की ही रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है फॉर सम डिस्ट्रक्शन कुछ डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ फूड प्रोड्यूसिंग लैंड क्या हो सकती है एग्रीकल्चर लैंड अगर तो इसके बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन दी गई है देन इट विल बी ट्रू अगर इसके बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं दी गई देन इट विल बी नॉट गिवन अगर किसी और को कहा गया है कि ह्यूमन बीइंग्स के अलावा किसी और ने जो है वो डिस्ट्रॉय किया है देन इट वुड बी फॉल्स लेट्स सी human beings looking forward to food producing land, looking forward destruction. Okay, method continues practice to be practice historically. Laid waste by historically 15% of has been laid waste by poor management practices. Laid waste by poor management practice. So management practices are actually carried out by human beings. Okay, and these poor management practices has contributed to destroy laid waste, destruction of some 15% of that. Some 15% that is actually और 15% उसकी यहाँ पे बात की ना रही. So, actually, it is true. By poor management practices, we know that poor management practices are always carried out by human beings, and it has somehow laid waste to some part of the land, so it would be true. The crops produced in vertical farm will depend on the season. They are saying that vertical farm में जो crops produce की जाती है वो सीजन पे डिपेंड करेंगी. अच्छा अब आपको इसका आंसर कहाँ से मिलेगा? अब आप मुझे पता है हमने जहाँ तक आंसर ढूँढा इसमें से हम पूरा एक पार्ट जो है वो मिस करके गए थे. जब हम कंप्लीट सेंटेंस करें तो हमारा ये वाला पार्ट पूरा मिसिंग है. सो मोस्ट प्रोबेबली हमारा जो आंसर हो सकता है वो इसमें हो सकता है. बट हम अगेन अपने जो है वो सीक्वेंस के साथ चलेंगे और हम सीक्वेंस के साथ चलते हुए ही जो है वो इसको देखेंगे कि हमारा आंसर कहाँ पे पड़ा हो सकता है. ओके, लेट्स सी. वर्टिकल फॉर्म्स वी विल लूकिंग फॉर सीजंस. वर्टिकल फॉर्म्स स्पेशली सीजन. ठीक है, वर्टिकल फॉर्म जगह जगह मेंशन है तो ये हमारा टेंशन की ओर नहीं है. we will be looking for that part in where vertical forms are mentioned along with some information related to season, related to weather. Okay, tomatoes produce cereal just going quickly, going through as you will need to develop your speed reading habit, your speed reading skills. Try to read daily, try to read 6 pages of a book. It took comments dash when cause information. Okay, okay. Okay, the sport of vertical farming crops would be produced all around year round. There will be no weather related crop failures. So if there is no weather related crop failures कि मौसम की वजह से क्रॉप खराब हो गई है तो इसका मतलब वो उन पे डिपेंड नहीं कर रही हैं so here is our information is completely contradicting this part. There would be no weather related crop failures. The crop will not be depending. They will be controlled through artificial control and they can be produced all around years. No matter it is summer season, no matter it is winter season, you can, if you are growing your crops in a vertical farming, then in the artificially controlled optimum growing conditions आपने artificially season को control कर लिया है, temperature को control कर लिया है. So these will not no longer depend on the season. Whether it is a summer season, in the summer season you can by controlling the conditions artificially, you can grow some crops that are being grown in winter. So this will be false. Question number 11. Some damage to food crops is caused by climate change. So वो कह रहा है कि कुछ डैमेज जो है फूड क्रॉप्स को वो क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से होता है. लेट्स सी कि उसकी होता है या नहीं होता. ओके, इन्फेक्शन अगर हम देखें तो यहाँ पे इसका जो है ना पीछे पड़ा हुआ है एक आमतौर पे होता नहीं है कोई एक आधा पीछे पड़ा होता है कि आई कैन टेल यू दैट समटाइम देयर इज वन or two questions that are present where monsoons. Change. For the word climate change. So what are the climate change? You have heard this phrase most times in your news channels that due to climate change, Pakistan is suffering some flood, some droughts. So the climate change is actually floods, long droughts, take toll each year, destroying millions of tons of valuable crops. So they are actually a lot of crops. So your answer would be true. These climatic changing conditions, rapidly changing climate change. Here you can find a exact word climate change, rapidly changing climate change, and these are massive floods, hurricanes, and they are responsible for destroying valuable crops. The next one is fertilizer will be needed for certain crops in vertical forms. Okay, question number next यहाँ पे था fertilizers के related हुए देखते हैं. We see there are fertilizers mentions here. So fertilizers would be needed for certain crops in vertical forms. All the food could be grown organically. तमाम food, all the food, certain crops mean कुछ एक चंद एक eliminating the need ज़रूरत को बिल्कुल एलिमिनेट कर दिया जाएगा, खत्म कर दिया जाएगा। किसकी ज़रूरत को हर्बिसाइड्स की जो कीड़े मारते हैं जड़ी-बूटियों कष्ट होती हैं, जो पेस्टिसाइड जो कीड़े मारते हैं और जो फर्टिलाइज़र्स उनका जो है वो यूज़ बिल्कुल खत्म कर दिया जाएगा। सो इट वुड बी false. There would be no use. But यहाँ पे लिखा होगा कि it will be eliminating the need बिल्कुल खत्म हो जाएंगी. तो ये contradicting है, directly opposite information है. So it would be false. Vertical farming will make plants less likely affected by infectious disease. अभी हम यहाँ पे एक जगह पे देखें vertical farms होंगे, उनमें infectious diseases बहुत कम आएंगे. Less likely, greatly reduce, affect incidence of many infectious diseases. So it would be true. So इस तरह से आपने you can see your uh, fill in the blanks notes completion sorry completing the sentence and your true false not given. These are all the paraphrasing. हर क्वेश्चन में पैराफ्रेजिंग हुई होती है और आपने देखा होगा मैंने कितना ज़्यादा जो है वो पार्ट्स हाइलाइट किए हुए हैं, जहाँ-जहाँ से मुझे वो सेम वर्ड जो है मिले. So just by doing a little bit practice, you can learn how to you can learn that how the actually in IELTS exam paraphrasing is being done. And by using these paraphrasing techniques, using these vocabulary, you can develop your vocabulary for writing tasks. You can develop your vocabulary for स्पीकिंग पार्ट. सो आज जो है वो आज की क्लास यहीं तक होगी और नेक्स्ट जो है इसमें हम देखेंगे मज़ीद कल को जो है वो आपकी ऑनलाइन क्लास जो है वो वीडियो एक रिकॉर्डेड क्लास होगी और उसमें भी पैराफ्रेजिंग का ही बताया जाएगा. उसमें ट्रू, फॉल्स, नॉट गिवन और येस, नो, नॉट गिवन इन 2 क्वेश्चन टाइप्स को जो है वो टारगेट टारगेट किया जाएगा. तो आप कल लाज़मी लीजिएगा वो क्लास. मीनवाइल आज की क्लास होप्स सो कि आपको समझ आ गई होगी. नेक्स्ट आपने क्या करना है, आपने नोट्स कंप्लीशन, कंप्लीट द सेंटेंस और ट्रू फॉल्स नॉट गिवन उनमें से पार्ट बाय पार्ट जस्ट क्वेश्चन टाइप्स को देखते हुए आपने देखना है कि हाउ दीज आर बीइंग पैराफ्रेज्ड. ओके, पैराफ्रेजिंग कहाँ पे की गई इंफॉर्मेशन आपने इसकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग आपकी लाजमी है. until and unless you don't understand the question you will not be able to locate the information. जैसे मैं यहाँ पे पढ़ रहा था, मैंने आपको बोला कि मैं देख रहा हूँ इंडोर प्लांट्स ग्रो किए जा रहे हैं, उनमें साथ कुछ और चीज़ ग्रो की जा रही है. वर्टिकल फॉर्म्स कहीं पे सिचुएशन है, कहीं पे मैं अब ढूँढने जा रहा हूँ पैराग्राफ में कहाँ पे बात हुई है वर्टिकल फॉर्म की सिचुएशन की और कहाँ पे उनको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने की, कंज्यूमर्स को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने की बात हुई है. सो सो इसका मीनिंग जस्ट लाइक से आप इसको उर्दू में कन्वर्ट करें. जो आप सेंटेंस पढ़ते हैं एट द एंड एट द स्टार्ट अगर आपको मीनिंग की समझ नहीं आ रही, ट्राई टू कन्वर्ट दिस होल स्टेटमेंट इनटू योर ओन लैंग्वेज. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग इन योर ओन लैंग्वेज. देन यू विल बी लुकिंग फॉर दीज वर्ड्स, यू विल बी लुकिंग फॉर दीज काइंड ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन के कंज्यूमर को ट्रांसफर करने की बात कहाँ पे हुई है. So even if you catch even one part of the information, not part the location, if you catch the information related to customers or consumers, then you can read that whole sentence and then you can find 100% matching keywords. Your each keyword will be matching with within that sentence. और मैचिंग सेंटेंस में आपको एक ही सेंटेंस के अंदर जाने के अगर आपने एक सेंटेंस स्टार्ट किया तो वो एक ही सेंटेंस के अंदर होगा. समरी में होता है कि 4 से 5 सेंटेंस को जो है वो उन्होंने इकट्ठा करके एक सेंटेंस बनाया होता है. तो वो जब हम करेंगे आज हमने क्लास में किया लेकिन ऑनलाइन क्लास में भी दोबारा से हम वो समरी कंप्लीशन और नोट्स कंप्लीशन को जो है वो रिवाइज़ करेंगे. मीनव्हाइल आप ट्रू फॉल्स नॉट गिवन की, नोट्स कंप्लीशन की और फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स की जो है वो एक्सरसाइज़ करते रहिएगा. जो चीज़ समझना है फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल आपको जहाँ से बात समझ नहीं आ रही और आपको लग रहा है इसका आंसर यहाँ पे है, जस्ट टेक अ स्क्रीनशॉट ऑफ दिस पार्ट of this question and along with this passage and share that picture with me and ask me question. I will give you answer on WhatsApp whenever I will be free. Okay, that was all about today's class. Hope that you have enjoyed today's class and you will have learned some new things. Okay, Allah.